So I'm trying to post stuff on my Instagram TV and my YouTube that are a little bit different, and post more stuff on my Instagram TV and less than my YouTube. But welcome back to my YouTube channel. Welcome back to my Instagram TV, to whatever. This week I've been focusing a lot on one specific topic, which is college. But before I get into it, make sure to subscribe. Check out my podcast, This is Life Unfiltered, that airs every Wednesday. Today in particular, a new episode went up talking about college, which is why I wanted to film this video, because I've been speaking at a lot of different colleges. You guys know that I didn't go to college, and I managed to make my blog into this full-time career and company that I run now. And so, because I didn't go to college, I've been speaking at so many different colleges, which is kind of unique, right? That you would think, how can somebody who's 21 be speaking at colleges that I didn't even go to and have never attended? But because I'm doing so many different talks on entrepreneurship and branding and stuff at colleges, I've had a chance to be on so many different campuses and learn so much about students and talk to them and figure out what young people are really dealing with. And one of the ongoing topics seems to be college. Whether it's anxiety between high school and college, not knowing what you're gonna do for or studying college, whether you're in college and you're like, oh shit, I don't want to study this anymore, I don't like what I'm doing, or whether you can't afford to go to college but you feel like you need to go to one college so that you know, do better in your life, but you think if you go to a community college you won't excel as quickly or get the career that you want. So I'm trying to bring more attention to this topic just to help you guys and guide you along with the process as someone who didn't go but has so much insight. So one of the questions that I'm always asked is why I didn't go to college, and will I ever contemplate going to college? There's a few reasons why I didn't go to college. The first reason I didn't go to college for is because I was in high school and I finished high school online. I convinced my parents to let me transfer to online school because I was failing out of high school. If you follow any entrepreneurs who are really successful, you know, like Steve Jobs didn't finish high school or college. I think he might have even dropped out of high school. A lot of, you know, really successful entrepreneurs didn't finish college, which doesn't necessarily mean you shouldn't finish college, but it does mean that it's just a pattern that a lot of entrepreneurs, and the way that our brains are wired, we don't really fit in the way that we can kind of listen to other people or listen to being told what to do a lot of the times, and that's what happens in school. So I transferred to online school. I finished online high school in about a month. I finished like a year and a half in 1 month, and I was so routine with it. I was so strict, and I had started making money at the time from the social media company that I started on LinkedIn, which I also talk a lot about, how I was making money from different brands I was doing their social media. So I went to apply to college. I was still very college bound. I didn't know what I wanted to study in college, so I still was really confused. So I had this company and I knew I wanted to do something in this industry. I wasn't sure what it was gonna be until sometime later. So I dealt with the same thing, feeling really confused, really anxious, really stressed, and at that time I wasn't even in a regular high school, so I had lost a lot of the friends that I had. I wasn't really going out. I was really going out in like New York and hanging out with older people and learning a lot about that. So I applied to 3 different colleges, NYU and Marymount being the top 2, Marymount University in New York City. And I didn't get it into NYU, and it was terrible, and it was so frustrating, and I wrote this awesome letter, and I didn't get it. And I did get into Marymount, and I viewed it and was like, I went into the tour, and I didn't like it. I didn't like the vibe. I wanted I wanted to go to a college like NYU that wasn't a regular college. I was fine with not having that true kind of Vanderbilt type college experience that you'd get on a full campus, but I knew that I still wanted to learn about entrepreneurship. And at NYU, I wanted to try out the Tisch program, which was basically building your own, it was like kind of building your own degree, and I was gonna do it on entrepreneurship. Looking back, had I have gotten in, I don't think I would have actually been able to learn much more if I had created my own degree than I already know now, because if I had made my own degree on entrepreneurship, you really learn as an entrepreneur everything you need to know. So if I had gone, what I really should have done is gone to business school. So I decided not to go. And I told my parents that, and they were not super supportive of it. My mom always was not super supportive of my blog. My dad was more supportive, but he's very traditional and my mom's not traditional. My mom grew up in England, so she went to college for free until she moved to America. So she understood not wanting to go, because the second main reason that I didn't go, I didn't get into my top college choice. And the second thing is because I couldn't afford it. I had friends who were spending so much money on applications and tours and going across the country, going to visit these schools. And I remember I used to get so mad at my mom because I would be like, I want to be applying to Vanderbilt and Yale and all these places I wouldn't have gotten into, but I wanted to know that I still could have had the opportunity. But she simply, my parents couldn't have afforded to help me with the fees. So I think one of the fees I managed to get waived, and I only ended up applying to 3 schools, but I never did any tours besides the one in New York, which is 4 hours away from where I'm from in Connecticut. And it was really frustrating because you have all of your friends and a lot of people who I knew who weren't in my high school who were applying to so many different schools, and that application itself is $75, which is a lot of money. So I decided not to go. And over that period of a year, I moved out, I went to New York, I was just actively emailing brands, constantly getting myself on TV shows. I had no financial support, I still don't, and I really just managed to do it all on my own. But that doesn't mean that I wasn't confused, that doesn't mean that I wasn't lost, that doesn't mean that I contemplated that gap year before I decided not to go to college. I've been through all of that stuff, and luckily now I know who I want to be. I kind of want to be the next Oprah or Ellen in the future, but it's taken me a really long time and a lot of ups and downs to get to the place of confidence where I am now. So the answer to the question is whether or not you should go to college. You might think that I'm contradicting myself here, but give me a second to explain my reasoning. Yes, I do think every young person should go to college. I truly do. And the reason I say that, but I didn't go to college, is because I know and I understand now that it's very rare for somebody who's my age to be so confident and know what they want to do. It's not normal, it's not usual. I don't know where I got the entrepreneur side of me because I don't have any entrepreneurs in my family, but everyone that I know, we're all still dealing with the same things. It doesn't mean that I don't deal with confusion and stress and anxiety and all that stuff. I have that in the same way. I just don't find that college for me at the place that I am right now would help my career or help where I want to go. But also, I'm talking about working in the entertainment industry, where the best thing you can do in the entertainment industry is network, is get yourself out there, is make those connections. I always just had the guts to make those connections on my own, but that's just how I am. So I would just, and still do, just cold email people and would call people and just be so annoying all the time until somebody would reply to me. And that's a lot of the ways that I made connections. And then that period of time when I wasn't in college and I was living in New York and I was going to events all the time, and I met so many people just from there being a writer and was getting myself those freelance writing gigs. But if you're not in the position to move out at 17 or 18, which most people, I don't suggest it in any capacity, I really don't suggest doing that, you need those connections, and you will get that in college. If you have a side hustle, a business, something that you want to do that isn't what you're going to be taught about in college, college is more so about making those connections, really learning about yourself and getting out of your comfort zone. And when you're in college, whether you go to a community college or whether you go to a kind of more mainstream, one of the NYUs or the Yales of the world, they're gonna be different experiences, but you hopefully should still leave with that same amount of confidence, with some of the similar connections that help you find the next part of your life. And going to college will help really get you out of your comfort zone. So if you do want to start and follow an entrepreneurial path, you'll be able to do that after college, but don't rush those major years of your life. I made so many mistakes when I was younger, having moved out, having no money, being a starving artist, and I'm really lucky that I managed to figure it out, because I easily could have not figured it out. But I also don't have a plan B. So I talked about this in a talk a few weeks ago at Northeastern, that when I think about it and I think if everything failed, if I screwed up, and what would I do tomorrow to pay my rent? I don't have that type of security. And when you're an entrepreneur who's gone to college, you'll always have something to turn back to. Even if it's you studied a degree that you don't love, you'll still have that. I'll never have that. That's a risk that I'm totally fine taking, but I won't ever have that type of security. So you need to think about that when you're contemplating, maybe I shouldn't go, or I have a lot of people who are like, Alexa, you didn't go, I'm not gonna go. And I'm like, no, no, no. Don't compare yourself to me, because like I said at the beginning of this video, my life path has been very non-traditional and very unexpected, and I am just very determined about my goals, and you have to find yourself and find those goals, and most people find that stuff in college. Yeah, so I hope that that explains it, and I hope you understand my perspective on it and why I still think every person should go to college. I truly think that gap years are a fantastic idea. I think if you're in high school and you decide you want to take a year in between high school and college, great idea, do it. However, do not spend a year screwing around, traveling, wasting your money. Do what I did when I had transferred out of high school and gone to online school, which is have a very strict routine every day, which is give yourself the ability to learn and grow and get outside of your comfort zone that's not in a school setting. But don't do stupid stuff, because you will truly regret it. And that gap year is supposed to be making you find yourself more, so it's easier for you to transition into this new part of your life, which would be college. It's not supposed to be like, what TV show can I get on, or how can I get famous in a year? That's not what it's supposed to be. So if you're thinking about a gap year for those reasons, then don't take a gap year. Go to college, or go to community college and then go to traditional college. The financial part about college is really frustrating to me. If I were to go to college now, I would still go to a community college. I think that there is an important part of getting and going to a college like, you know, your dream school, like a Columbia or an NYU or a Yale. And if you do have those strong goals and a strong perspective on what you want to do in the future, you could go to community college for 1 to 2 years and then get in as a transfer student, because obviously the rates to be a transfer student are much higher and your acceptance rate is. So you could easily get in there, and then you'd still feel like you have that experience. You just have to tough it out for the first few years. Everyone I know who's gone to community college saves so much money. My now ex-boyfriend went to not a community college, but similar to a community college, and saved so much money, even though he could have gotten into any other school, probably because he was super smart. And I remember, was always really frustrated because he thought he could have played sports and done certain things at bigger colleges, but the financial part, walking away from college in no debt, is huge. Unless you want to be like a surgeon or something, then it could be practical for, you know, you'll really make the money back easier, but it's going to take you time to leave college and get that job. So just because you went to NYU versus a community college doesn't mean you're gonna get a job right out of college. So think of it like that. Wouldn't you rather leave knowing you're not in debt while you try and get a job, versus leaving in so much debt knowing that just because you're sitting next to the person who went to NYU, it doesn't mean they're gonna get a job any easier? So that's kind of what I would think about it. And so that covers the financial part. And I just really think that college is a really good move, and that going will teach you a lot about yourself, but don't be too hard on yourself and overwork yourself and get stressed out about a lot. I mean, college isn't supposed to be taking 15 classes a day. My high school that I went to was so strict with stuff. I had so many different classes, and in those classes, I remember I was always so overwhelmed. So when I think about college, I think it would be much more lenient, like you could get a job or an internship, or if you're taking a gap year, like go and take another class. Always learn. I find I learn the best just by living and experiencing and traveling. So that's what you should do in between that gap year, or while you're in college, creating a really healthy balance between learning and experiencing life as well as living. So I hope that helps. I hope that explains it. I interviewed I think it was like 7 or 8 people on Life Unfiltered with Alexa, which is my blog, yesterday about college. So check out their quotes to help you, to guide you along with the process, Rejection is gonna happen all the time in your business life and your personal life, so don't get too caught up with it in schools. It will get better, I promise. Check out that, and then also listen to the This Is Life Unfiltered episode from today, where I talked to a young adult about college, his opinion on it being an entrepreneur in college. So I hope that helps, and that's all I have to say.